Hey there YouTubes, this is Grimweird coming at you with a video on Planet Explorers. Planet Explorers is a small indie game that's in development by a group called Pathea. It's currently in alpha version 0.7 and I have pre-ordered it to get into the alpha and have been playing around with it a bit. And so far it's pretty interesting, so I thought I'd make a video and show off some of the features to friends and guildmates. So I am playing in single player, and I'm playing in story mode. I haven't explored most of this yet, but in story mode, I am basically a colonist who has arrived at this planet, Maria, and we have had some sort of problem in orbit, and we've crashed onto this planet, a bunch of lifeboats, me and a bunch of NPCs, and I'm in the process of attempting to, starting with only a knife, I'm in the process of attempting to round up a bunch of NPCs and start a colony and get myself gear and harvest materials so that I can build structures and whatnot. This is very much a sort of harvest and build type of game. So lots of running around harvesting, lots of collection of recipes, lots of making better and better gear, and then lots of building of structures out of blocks. So it's reminiscent of a Minecraft style of game. So let's go ahead and load things up here. I'm a few hours into this game, and I have collected up some survivors, and I'm now at a stage where I'm supposed to be finding a few more survivors and setting up a base camp somewhere. But I just wanted to show off a few things in the game. So the first is that the landscape is voxel based, so it has a destroyable, interactable landscape. So if we run up here, I'm going to switch over to my pickaxe. And you can see up here, this hill, I've already started to chew into it. So this used to be smooth, but I've been going at it with a pickaxe. Look around a bit and show you the alien landscape that we're in. So there's all sorts of trees and craziness going on. And this guy following me, Oliver Patel, is an NPC that is helping me out. But you can see here that with my pickaxe I can now select areas with this blue sphere and chew into them, and there I got some limestone, some more limestone, and some copper, and some actual stone, some sulfur. So basically I get a bunch of minerals and ores and stones that I can use as building blocks. And I chew up the terrain as I do it. I think the gravity is a little lower on this planet. As you can see, get some good altitude there with my jumps. I can also be collecting sunflowers and get various seeds and plants that I can use for making things like med packs and various other consumables. You can also see there's a variety of tree-like structures around which give a variety of things. So for instance, these trees, if I recall correctly, switch over to my axe, and as the blue bar goes down, I'm cutting down this tree, and if I recall correctly, these types of trees will also sometimes give me resin or plastic, or sorry, resin or rubber. And the resin can be used to do things like, I think, make plastics or what have you. So I got some wood and some plant fiber. So lots of harvesting in this game, and just quickly I can show you crafting. So I've now got a big old list of recipes that I've learned, a bunch of wood tools, and then a bunch of stone tools, And now I've started picking up some iron shield, iron sword, some iron stuff. I've got the ability to make some leather clothes, though I haven't gotten enough leather yet. I can make like simple plastic using resin, which I can then use to make various components of things. I've got a whole bunch of consumables that I can make for food or for health regeneration. So yeah, I've got all sorts of stuff that I can make now. And I have to collect a bunch of things to make it. So if I go to inventory, these are a bunch of things that I have. This is my equipment. I've got a variety of guns and shovels and knives and axes. And then resources, I've got a bunch of blocks of things like marble and dirt and stone. Limestone. I have some bullets. So basically, lots of harvesting. Now let's take a look at the building. I haven't actually done any building yet, but it looks like it's going to be similar but more advanced compared to Minecraft. So here I've got a block of dirt. Apparently dirt makes sort of these brick-like blocks, and I can place them there. Looks like I can stretch it out and make entire floors, or just one. And one of the things they've recently added are curves. So now I can make things like that. So I can make curved structures. And I can flip these curves. So there I can turn them around. And it looks like they've also got some things like columns. So I can make columns. And they've got things like angles. So I can now make a variety of angled shapes. So as you can imagine, just from this, even just this little look, as a building game, I can make all sorts of stuff here. If I go to marble blocks, looks like I can also do some marble. And again, I got a variety of different strange shapes of marble to allow me to build angles. So that's pretty cool. Let's get out of build mode before I accidentally clutter up the landscape with all sorts of crazy stuff. So you can see where this game has got a very similar vibe to survival mode Minecraft. Lots of harvesting and then lots of building. One of the other things I'd like to show off real quick is the in-game modeling interface that they have for creating your own versions of some of the gear. I think this is a pretty innovative thing, and I'm interested to see if other games are able to incorporate something like this. So often in games, people are yearning for the ability to customize their stuff, or they run out of content. So any kind of crowdsourcing or customization options that games can give to people is pretty cool. So if I go into the creation system, this allows me to make versions of things that I can put in the game. So right now they've got swords, shields, guns, and some sort of vehicles. I'm not up to the vehicle point, so I'm going to stay away from that. Well, I'll just show you real quick. If I were to make a vehicle, I'd end up putting out lots of the parts that need to be there for the item to exist, like a cockpit. No matter what the vehicle ends up looking like, it's going to have a cockpit for where the character sits. If I go to a sword, which is a bit something that I've actually played with and is a bit more reasonable as an example, I can make a stone hilt And again, the hilt is going to be where the player's hands actually interact with the object. And so that's how they take care of that. So like if I make a gun, it gives me the hilt so that it gives me, the parts where your hands go, like a rifle. It's a two-handed rifle. It gives you, well, let's just show that real quick. Gun, don't save, parts, rifle grip. Okay, so here you go. So this is going to be the area where your hands go. Right hand back by the trigger, and then you've got like a forward area for your hand there. But then I can apply various barrels and use raw materials, raw steel, to make the actual body of the gun. So let's go to, as an example, show you about creating a sword real quick. So I'm going to take a stone hilt and plop it down there. And then I'm going to grab this y-axis and I'm going to move it up to the top of the gun. So this is where I start or the top of the hilt, so this is where I start building. Now I'm going to choose my material. I'm going to make a marble sword because, hey, why not? And I can do things like click once, hold, and drag to build things in this axis. And then click again to make it go there. Or I can click, drag, release, and then move the mouse up and actually get a 3D block there. This is with the cube tool. The sphere brush lets me do a sphere. So let's say let's not. Let's move the plane up to the top of what I've already built. Okay, there. So that determines the starting point of where I'm making something. And let's just make a big sphere here. Boom. And even though this is supposedly a sword hilt, I could be making a mace. And so now I've added a sphere. And if I go to the pencil, the single voxel dot tool, let's say I wanted to make some copper dots on it. If I want to make a spiked mace, I can do things like that. And I can put single things coming off of it. If I decide I wanted to go back to making a sword, I could do something like that. Now I'm sort of making a coppery sword. Other things I can do is I can apply mirror planes to it. So now it's mirrored in the X and Z axis. And so now if I were to, let's go back to, let's make it default stone. And now if I wanted to add something like this, it's mirrored to the other corners across the axes that I have selected. Now if I want to lower this a bit, say make some handguards or something crazy, I can do that. And now if I want to extend this into some sort of swordy looking thing, I can do something like that. And it looks hideous because I'm not actually building anything that actually looks like a sword, but you get the point. No pun intended. So there you go. With some fiddling about, get all this stuff out of the way. I now have a strange looking sword. And I could, if I go over to statistics, I see that this will take 2 units of marble, 2 units of copper, 3 units of stone, and a stone hilt to make. And I see that I can't actually make it right this second because I do not have a stone hilt. But I do have enough of the other material here in green that if I wanted to, I could actually make this now, and it would appear in the game on my character and consume the materials required. I can also see that it has an attack of 52 and a durability of close to 667, and that's largely based just on how much material and what type of material you use. That system is a little weird because it sort of encourages you possibly to use more material than you would really want or need to in order to up your stats. And so that's a little odd, but we shall see how that turns out when the game is finished. Effect, so possibly you'll be able to add particle effects at some point. Decals, not available yet. Painting, that could be interesting. I don't think I have any dyes, so I can't really do that yet. But you can imagine how it would be interesting to actually be able to dye or paint your stuff, or to add various decals and particle effects. And again, that stuff might be consumed. You might have to actually craft or make or harvest various dyes and whatnot here to be able to use it to actually build what you design here. So anyway, that's an ugly, messy, strange looking sword, and if I wanted to, I could then save that design, that ISO, and also if I had a stone hilt, I could actually make one of these and throw it in the game and use it. So a pretty darn interesting concept. You don't really see a lot of things like this in games, and I'm hoping that we see more of it. Sort of the ability to create your own custom gear. Very cool. Let's do that and don't save. And anyway, I think that's sort of the main things I wanted to hit on. The concept of the game, again, is very similar to Minecraft survival mode. Lots of harvesting, lots of building, lots of upgrading your tools and weapons and stuff. And then some of the more interesting things are the designing your own looks to some of your own weapons and gear, and the advanced building tools that are definitely more than just big cubes like you see in Minecraft. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to talk about with Planet Explorers. I'm looking forward to playing this alpha quite a bit over the next several weeks, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.